The National Television Award goes to EastEnders.
Greetings, EastEnders fans far and wide. Welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week discussing the episodes broadcast in the UK and everywhere else between the 4th and the 7th of September 2023. Hello there. I hope you're very, very well. Joining me as per usual is the delightful Ree. Hello, Ree. How the devil are you this week?
I'm all right, Rob. It's hot, isn't it?
Oh, it's so hot. I don't like it. I don't like heatwave weather, and it's September. Shouldn't be getting heat waves at this time of the year.
Do you remember what we were saying this time last week? Summer's been and gone. We've not even had a summer. Now look at us. Oh my god.
I don't mind it during the day. Do you know what I mean? Fine. The sun. That's the sun's time. All right. But I do not like lying in bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning in 78-degree heat, like stuck to the bed because it's just so. Oh no, hate it.
It's been insane. Yeah, I mean, you know, anyone who's listening who's not in the UK, like you just can't please us. It's too hot when it's hot, and it's too cold when it's cold. So
there you go. See, we're just an unhappy nation, and the weather does that to us. This be Ree, an EastEnders podcast, obviously, and we do a podcast about a show that just absolutely swept it at the NTAs this year. Yeah, it did. Let's talk about that. We are talking about a show that not only won Best Serial Drama, it also won Best Serial Drama Performance for Danielle Harold, and also Bobby Brazier won Rising Star this year. And bloody marvellous it was too. Bobby was there with his dad, Jeff, and he was bawling his eyes out. And it was just it was really, really emotional. The cast, you could tell, were all absolutely delighted for him. Everyone looked stunning. And the exciting thing was that the women all went dressed as the Six. I loved that.
And they all looked amazing as well.
They all looked stunning.
Like, all of them looked amazing in the colours.
Didn't they all just look like
whoever designated those colours did a good job.
Don't they all just look like TV stars? They really do, don't they? Like all 6 of them are just like.
Well, they are kind of, Rob.
Yeah,
you know,
I know they are, but they looked it, didn't they? They just all look like not even TV stars. They look like movie stars. They look like they could quite happily, quite happily walking along the. What's it called? The Star Road. What's it called? Boulevard.
Boulevard, yeah.
Boulevard, yeah. They can all fit down there beautifully. But I tell you what, that's amazing. And I knew it, and it deserves it. Was there any doubt? Best serial drama at the moment? No. The show's on fire.
No, definitely
Absolutely on fire. It's very, very exciting. Massive congratulations to everybody, obviously, if you're listening, because why wouldn't you be? We're very, very proud of you. And we're very, very proud to do this podcast about a soap that is just sweeping all awards. You realise that they've won every single award possible for it to win this year. Anything public,
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Anything public voted. If it was up for Tiddlywinks Championship, the public would voted for it. EastEnders would be winning it at the moment. The public are so behind the show at the moment. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Very, very
well
exciting.
Done.
Very well done. So we've got another good week to discuss now, haven't we? So shall we get on with it?
Let's do it.
So, we shall start this week. We're talking about the Knights and Ian and Bobby and Freddie. And this week, I really felt that my favourite part of this entire week was just how Ian was. I feel like they've got his characterisation spot on since he's been back, haven't they?
Yeah, he's really just come back into it, hasn't he? And even like new cast members. Well, not new cast members, but, you know, new characters to Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even they're like, oh, Ian Beale, got it. Yeah. Got his number straight away. Everyone gets it, don't they?
Yeah, got the cut of his jib pretty quickly.
Yeah, even Nish straight away. Like, what were all that about anyway? When they went for that meal and stuff, like, did they genuinely have no intention of investing originally?
No, I genuinely don't think they have. So Ian has obviously kind of promised to Cindy, right? I will cement us back in Walford, and we will show the girls that we mean business, and then they will come flocking back into your life. Obviously, because that's how everything always works so well for Ian. So he tries to get Ian and Suki round and to sort of persuade them to go into business with him.
Nish and Suki.
What did I say? Ian and Suki. Oh, I'm an idiot.
Suki,
Nish and Suki. Now, Nish, like you say, gets the cut of Ian's jib pretty quickly, and Suki literally only goes around there to take the piss.
Yeah, literally.
That's all she's interested in.
But then obviously Cindy doesn't turn up, and after that, Nish bumps into her in the street, and it
Mhm.
seems like it seems like he's been won over by Cindy.
Yeah.
Is there a little bit of a
Well, see, the thing is with this, I mean, we are talking about Cindy here, who would have an affair quicker than she'd make herself a cup of coffee in the morning. However, I think the thing with Nish is, because I think for a start, if Cindy's going to have an affair with anybody, it will be George, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think the thing with Nish is that Cindy gets the cut of his jib in an instant like that. And I think that in Cindy, we know what sort of woman that Nish likes. You know, look at Suki. You know, in some ways, Cindy and Suki are a little bit similar in the fact that they're both quite ruthless. They've both got that fire about them, and Nish likes that fire in a woman. And I think Cindy just instantly kind of understood him instantly, which ironically is kind of similar to what Elaine did. You know, they've both got that kind of way of just instantly working out somebody. So I think that's interesting. But I think that it's going to be Cindy who gets it all sorted, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like it because he seemed like he won over, and then obviously he meets up with Ian in pub later, and we have all that fiasco that kicks off. So whether it's still going ahead after that, I don't know.
Well, yes, I mean, so Cindy is basically trying to make up for everything that's happened. She sends Gina some flowers, and they get thrown in the bin, much to Elaine's delight. And she just kind of basically keeps failing at it. Meanwhile, Ian is sort of aware of what's going on with Bobby and Anna, and he's kind of desperately trying to make that not happen. And helpfully to Ian, Freddie has confided in Alfie about what happened between him and Anna on the chip shop floor. And so to sort of make him feel a bit better, Alfie tells him. Ian kind of senses that Alfie's hiding something, and Ian basically drags it out with him. And then because he's Ian, this is what I mean, so Ian to do this, he basically just blabs about it in front of the entire Vic and gets himself a punch from Gina, who temporarily turns into Will Smith. Take your sister's name out of your mouth, bang! And just punches him.
Yeah, I thought that straight away, Will Smith line.
It's just Will Smith,
What right look she's got.
Tell you what.
Wow.
Learnt a few tricks from Daddy, hasn't she? Jeez.
And she just...
Well, we've seen that Gina...
loved that.
Yeah, we've seen that Gina's quite good in the gym because it's something that those two have done together in the past. Because we've seen Gina in the boxing ring, and George is basically there as her coach. So we know that Gina can do this, right? And Ian was the perfect person to have that happen to him. It's just like, welcome back to Walford, Ian. Everything's as it should be. Ian's getting punched by random individuals and saying the wrong thing and upsetting everybody. All is as it should be. Ian's back and down. Marvellous.
Definitely.
That said, though, there was a really, really, really nice moment between him and Bobby in McClunky's, I thought. I loved that.
Yeah, it was nice. Although, still kind of caused by Ian.
Oh, totally caused by Ian. Totally caused by Ian. Yeah, totally caused by Ian. But I really liked it because it was a nice way to sort of chip away at Bobby's personality a little bit, and for him just basically, you kind of work how he's upset about Anna, but he's more betrayed by Freddie. And he's gutted that Freddie's done this to him. And, you know, in Freddie's defense, he's racked with guilt and realizes that he shouldn't have done it. Freddie spends most of the week carrying around a massive pink teddy bear.
Yeah, why was that? Where did it come from?
I've no idea where it came from. I'm presuming that it was for Lily. And for the baby.
Right, yeah, I didn't click to that at all.
Yeah, but he also takes it to this random woman that he has a hookup with and takes it to her house and then comes back on a milk float holding this teddy bear, and then we don't see the teddy bear again for the rest of the week. I mean,
he did well going on a night out and still having teddy bear with him.
What did he do? Just kind of drag that teddy bear around the clubs? Is that like, you know, a pulling technique? I might try that. Just take a massive teddy bear out on the town with me.
The amount of stuff we have handed into our lost property, some of it you're just like, what, really? So yeah, I can believe it.
Have you had a 10-foot teddy bear ever handed in?
Actually, no, we've not had a 10-foot teddy bear. We did have something similar though. Oh no, we had a banana suit.
Oh, what, a whole costume?
Yeah.
So someone had just discarded.
That got used a lot by the staff.
I bet. Yeah, if I was working at your bar, I definitely would have given that. I definitely would have done. Cindy and George, meanwhile, after this whole bust up at the Vic, they have a tender little moment, don't they? I mean, how long are you giving this? Like, if you're a betting woman, how long before those two end up in bed together?
A month, maybe.
That long?
Oh, do you think next week?
Oh, give it. Well, maybe not next
Monday's
week.
episode.
Yeah, but Monday's episode will just open with Cindy and George in bed together. No, I mean,
opening scene.
I give it a couple of weeks at the very most. the chemistry there is
I
too.
think he's going to be fighting it though. I know he's going to keep fighting it though, isn't he? Because
Mm.
it's very obvious in some ways, the little glances and the little shots we've had of George, that he's kind of already forgiven her in his head. He's putting on a front because of the girls and because he's trying to see it from their perspective. But actually, I think he's gone, do you know what? I see your reasonings. You kept our daughters safe by doing what you did. So actually, I totally understand it. I think that's where they're headed with it. But
yeah, no, I agree. Does Cindy love Ian?
No.
Don't think at all.
I don't know. I almost think she loves him like a brother.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think it's
I don't
they
know.
don't seem to have all that lust that he's got with George.
No,
I mean
mean
chemistry in that way.
No,
It's comfortable with Ian.
Yeah, you can't exactly imagine the two of them sort of rushing home to spend the evening with one another, so to speak, can you? Like, I can't imagine that the sexual chemistry is off the charts as Ian would like to imagine it is. And again, this is so Ian to be in this situation. I'm so I know some people kind of are annoyed by Ian and he irritates them, but I love Ian for that. I think, you know, it's so right that he's back. The show feels back to normal now. Ian is back and he's just being perfect Ian. You know, he's not being poisoned by carbonara. He's just making mistakes and awkward kind of faux pas like Ian always has. I'm just so delighted to have him back. And the Beals feel on top of the world right now as a kind of family group. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Definitely. Unless we forget as well, Rob. Sorry on that note.
No.
Kathy, Rocky, and Bobby are currently living with Sonia and Reiss, aren't they, sir?
Yes, they are. And I really quite enjoy the image that apparently whenever Rocky's in the shower, Reiss is in another room harmonising with him when he's singing. Of course he is.
Reiss is brilliant, isn't he?
I love Reiss. We will discuss Reiss later on in the podcast, but I'm a big discussion to be had about Reiss, I think, because I'm really, really enjoying Reiss. But again, he seems to have become quite a contentious character. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Final thing about the girls. I mean, do you reckon there's going to be any softening for them towards Cindy anytime soon?
I think Anna's already the softer of the two with her, isn't she?
Yeah.
I think it'll take them a while, but it depends where they're progressing with how things are going to go with George, really, I think
what's going to happen with these two is that I think Peter is trying to do his best, trying to sort of get in there. And they seem to be all right with Peter, and they seem to be all right with Bobby, in all fairness. But I think what Peter will work out is that the best way to do this is not to try and tackle them both at once, but to try and work on Anna. And then they'll work on Gina, because then if they've worked on Anna, Anna will be able to then work on Gina on their behalf. So I think that's if it was me, that's what I'd do. You know, being the manipulative mastermind that I am.
Or maybe the other way around though, because Peter and Gina had a little moment at bar, you know, and she's like, "Oh, you're quite the diplomat, aren't you?"
Yeah, Gina likes him.
He might be able to work on Gina himself, to be fair.
Yeah, I think they're happy to have Peter in their lives. I think it's just, and I think that in itself will lend itself to them softening towards Cindy. It is only a matter of time, I think. So but I'm loving this story. I think it's fantastic. I'm really, really kind of gripped by it. I love it. So yes, we should see what is going on. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's discuss Lexi's first day at secondary school. So, as I say, it is Lexi's first day at secondary school. Now, are you dreading, Ree, the day that you have to do this? One day, this is going to be you sending your new crying sweet baby daughter off to secondary school and warning her about secondary school stuff.
I mean, primary school's enough. I've got a friend who sent their daughter to primary school the other day, our mutual friend, and she's been in quite a mess about that. I can't even believe how quickly it's happened. But yeah, secondary school's even worse, isn't it? Because there's so much more pressure, I think.
Yeah, massively.
With that age and...
it's essentially the start of your child becoming a teenager. Like, this is the start of their sort of adult journey almost, isn't it, when you go to secondary school? Like,
literally.
I don't know how I'd cope. I really don't think I would. I'd be like, no, screw it. You stay here. I'll go in your place and I'll do all your work for you. It'll be fine. You stay at home. It's marvellous.
Jay kind of said it. I think the main concern with secondary school is bullies and stuff, because obviously there's so many kids who are going to be so much bigger, especially when they're in year 7. They're tiny, aren't they, year 7?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're more likely to potentially encounter all those kind of secondary school dramas, I think, as well.
Yes, and I think it's likely that Lexi will have some sort of drama at secondary school because there always is. One thing at the start of the week, when they're kind of saying goodbye to Lexi and sending her off, we saw Mia for the first time in ages and ages and ages. I didn't recognise her, and I thought that they'd recast like Bailey or something because those two were getting on all right at one point. We haven't seen Bailey in like 100 years. Got like Bailey's like middle aged by now. We haven't seen her for that long.
Yeah.
But it seems that those two are kind of created a little bit of a friendship. Obviously, they're going off with Amy as well. So there's a little kind of friendship group going on with some of the younger kids, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that with me. At first, I was like, "Oh, they've recast Bailey," and then when she turned around and we saw her face, I was like, "It's Mia."
Yeah, because Mitch was talking to her and saying, "Are you all ready, baby?" Like, and all that kind of thing in his Mitch fatherly type way, which is why I thought it was Bailey from behind. And because they hadn't shown her from, like, she was standing like with her back to the camera, and I was kind of like, "I think we cast Bailey," and then realised who it was. But yeah, I don't know.
And she's right tall now as well.
Oh, she is, yeah, because kids do that, don't they? This is the thing when you take a massive gap between kids having like no episodes for ages and ages and ages. You return to them and suddenly they're about 11 foot tall.
Yeah.
Never happened to me. I never had that growth spurt. I was born 5'7" and I've stayed that way all my entire life. Anyway, Lola has recorded a video for Lexi. Again, really, really nice to see one last kind of grasp of Daniel Harold award-winning performance as Lola. You know, it was nice as well. It's quite emotional.
I don't think it'll be the last one anyway.
Do you know? She's just done.
No. Yeah.
She's just done an entire kind of video epilogue for the entirety of Lexi's life.
I was thinking this, and if I was in that position, I would totally do that. I'd be doing one for every birthday.
Yeah.
I'd be doing one, especially like for 18th, the day that you get your results. Like if you're going to do it for you might as well. So I reckon there might be quite a few more yet, to be honest.
Fine, no issues with that. That's going to keep Daniel Harold in work for the next few years, isn't it? Just record as that message for his Danielle. That'd be perfect. Thanks. So I'll get the bandana out, we draw, stick it on, be fine. But this, of course, is all quite difficult for Ben because he's realizing like he's not on his own, but he kind of feels on his own because he's still going through everything that he's going through. They kind of return to the eating disorder thing a little bit this week because after watching the video of Lola, Lexi is obviously kind of upset and emotional and runs into a room and Ben has to sort of lure her out. Now, the way he does this is talking about, we'll eat a massive tub of ice cream, and he obviously cannot eat the ice cream. You get that sense, and then he runs to the loo after doing it. So maybe he had some and then had to run to the loo. Callum kind of catches wind of this. So that's still very much going on. They haven't forgotten about it. Yeah. It's very evident this is still very much a long journey that Ben is going to have to go on, which
they're doing it
good.
They're doing it well. It's subtle, isn't it? They're not, you know what I mean? It's not too in your face, so to speak. Not that there'd be any issue with that, but it's nice doing it in this subtle way, just kind of in the background of another story as well. Like the main thing is that Lex is starting school, so it's nice to still see that is going. Like you said, they're playing the long game with it. They've not just gone, oh, well, he's getting counselling and that's it. So everything's fine.
Which they would have done once upon a time. Let's be honest here. They, this would have been a couple of weeks of this is the fortnight that we discuss about eating disorders, and now we'll move on. But no, this is very much a key kind of factor of Ben's character at the moment, and it is as it should be, sort of showing the ups and downs of the journey through all the way. So yeah, quite right. And as well as that, he tells Jay eventually what's been going on this week with him, which again was I love Ben and Jay scenes. Like they're fantastic, and the two of them are really bouncing off well together. And Jay's gutted because he's like, well, I lived with you for ages, how did I not see this? Which is kind of similar to what Callum went through when he found out about it, which was nice. I thought that was really nicely handled.
Yeah, I did. I think it's important to remember that is usually what happens, though, isn't it? When people got eating disorders, they're so good at hiding it.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't notice because they almost turn pro at lying, don't they?
Oh yeah,
Ben said that previously, hadn't they?
They make sure you can't. You have no idea what is going on. That's the whole point, and as to why it can be so devastating to people because they don't know how to not hide it. It's just it's a sad story. And as well as that, I'm kind of worried about Jay at the moment. I feel like he's really, really struggling without Lola. Now, obviously, and I don't mean this negatively, actually, but all the attention is on Ben at the moment and kind of what he's going through and how he's kind of trying to cope with being a dad whilst going through this, which fair enough. But Jay is struggling. Like he watches at the end of the week, sort of the video of Lola and the message that he left for Lexi, and he's kind of sobbing away. And you kind of feel that maybe he doesn't know how to kind of voice his problems to Ben whilst he's going through this, because I don't think he wants to make he doesn't want to kind of put any more pressure on Ben.
I think that's it with Jay. I think he is being very Jay about everything, and he's
Yeah.
saying, I'm the one who's got to hold everything together, so I'm not allowed to have... He's not really grieved, has he? I know he's had his moments, but really he's almost masking it. He needs to be the one who's on top form to make sure that Lexi's okay because she's starting school. Now he's found out that Ben's got problems, so he couldn't possibly then add to other people's issues. So I think it's imminent. I think he's going to get to a place soon where he's going to have a bit of is meltdown the right word? You know?
Yeah, maybe, because the thing is with Jay, you know, we've spoken about Jay's drug history in the past. You know, is it maybe going to go in that area again? You know,
I was just thinking that.
We have discovered that it's very, very easy to get hold of drugs in Walford. You know, somebody in the random club who can just pass you a bag of crystal meth, we have discovered. So it's quite easy. So I don't know.
Maybe that's a thing in London. We're northerners, aren't we? I know you're not as northern, but
I'm
you
not
know,
as no one's as northern as you, Ray, apart from like people from Iceland. So you're practically Scottish. So yeah, I'm interested to sort of see where Jay goes from this, and I'm really pleased that they're playing the long game as well with Jay's grief and Lexi's grief as well. Like, this is still clearly a massive part of this group of characters' lives moving forwards, and it's nice, really, really nice to see.
Well, no, go on. I think you were going to say what I was about to say. Go on.
About Lexi's text message at the end of the week, or the notification that you get. So yeah, Lexi's first day at school goes well. She's got a new friend, Dorothea. Not heard that name before.
I've not heard
have
that
you heard
one.
that name? Dorothea.
Never in my life.
I like it. That's a nice name.
Hello to any Dorotheas out there. Your name is very
There's
unique.
probably loads. There's probably loads of Dorotheas out there in the world. If you're called Dorothea, let us know and we'll give you a shout out, because I like that name a lot. And she's also very excited about the fact that she can get pizza out of a machine. I want a pizza machine. Is that a thing? I didn't get that at school.
I thought pizza stopped being a school lunch option when
Thanks,
Jamie Oliver got involved. Remember?
Yes,
my school lunches used to be right nice. We used to have pizza, chips, cheeseburgers. Yeah. I mean, it served me well, clearly. You know,
both of us, mate. Yeah, trust me. I this is how I'm the svelte figure I am today, thanks to my school dinners of chips, lasagna, pizza every single day, Monday to Friday.
They were nice though.
They were amazing. Right nice. I never understand it when people kick off about school dinners. I'm like, what are you on about? Mine were lush.
Now they're like, no, we have to have vegetables now because of Jamie Oliver.
I mean, I don't know if any of our abroad listeners will be aware of who Jamie Oliver is. He's basically a TV chef who basically kicked off essentially about the healthiness of school dinners. Basically wrecked it for kids of the generation above us, I think, really, didn't they? And they had to kind of eat much more healthily at school and restarted the debate of how disgusting school dinners are, I'm assuming. He also had a big thing about McDonald's chicken nuggets as well, didn't he? You remember?
Oh, did he? I don't remember.
I think
that,
so.
no.
Yeah, I think he was the one that was kicking off about what was in chicken nuggets at McDonald's.
Oh yeah, no, that rings a bell actually. Yeah, and like which part of the animal it's from or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so Lexi, slightly. Lexi's had a great first day at school, but as she's telling this to Ben and Callum and Jay and everybody, she sees a notification and it sort of seems to temporarily distract her. Now, this might be Emma. Do we think Lola's mum? She's maybe due a return soon. I think it might be. She's definitely got Lexi's number.
It's on the cards, isn't it? And she gave Lexi her number as well, didn't she?
Yes.
I'd not even made that connection though, Rob. Like, I just assumed it were a school bully already or something. Some social media. Yeah.
In 6 hours, Lexi has made a childhood enemy. I mean, it's quite likely as well. But
you never know, do you?
I think this is Emma, and I think we're going to see Emma quite soon. Yes,
more likely. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is with Emma, we had to kind of question why she was only at Lola's funeral for the grand total of about 5 seconds, like chucked some flowers at the back of the room and then scurried out again. So I think it's quite likely that she's going to want to. I think she's going to feel like she has to kind of keep an eye on Lexi for Lola and sort of try and, like, the mistakes that she made with Lola and all the times that she let Lola down. I think that she is going to try and kind of reconcile that with looking after Lexi, much to everybody else's annoyance, I suspect, is how it's going to go. Yes, I suspect.
I mean, even if she can offer some financial stability, it'd be nice in some ways.
Start.
You know, without being too direct. But yeah, I can imagine that's going to start some arguments along the way if she does get involved.
I suspect so. We shall have to wait and see how that plays out. Right then, ladies and gents, next story. So, Ree, talk to me about Reiss. Like, because I love him. I really think he's one that I think he's a great comedy, funny character. Do you feel the same, or do you share some of the views that some people seem to have about Reiss?
Kind of wish I did share those views that other people have about Reiss, so that we could at least like disagree with each other on something. But I'm totally with you, Rob. I love him. I think he's great.
I think he's great.
I
think
know.
I think Johnny Freeman, the actor who plays him, has got amazing comic timing. And it's so rare that we get like a
Yeah.
really genuinely funny comedy character in EastEnders. I think he's ace. And this was no more demonstrated by the fact. I mean, let us know in the comment section your thoughts on Reiss, because I'm really intrigued to sort of, because I think some people are sort of seeing a potential darkness about him. And I even saw some people on social media saying, some people might not know who this is, but some people might be comparing him to John Stape out of Coronation Street, like in terms of where his future's going. This is what I think. I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
No.
Sort
I
of
don't
talking
see
about
that
how he's
at
going to turn
all.
into, because of his sort of bumbling personality and the fact that he's clearly got like secrets to hide, that he's going to turn into this sort of bumbling serial killer at some point.
Oh, now that you've said that, though, I could like an accidental serial.
Yeah, but I
or
don't want that for
something.
Reiss. I don't want
No,
I don't
I
want Reiss to
don't.
be the sort of character that has a shelf life, because I feel that Reiss has given Sonia a desperately needed breath of fresh air, because Sonia was sort of just kicking around Dot's house, not really doing that much for a long time. And Reiss has given her a complete rejuvenation. Like, I love Sonia and Reiss together. I think they're an amazing partnership.
And it'd be nice for his character to stay on the square as he is at the moment, without turning him into some kind of serial killer. But I could kind of see why people have said that, but I also don't see it. Well, or I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I mean, just to explain to anyone who doesn't know who John Stape is. Oh God, this was a time and a half at Corrie. Let me tell you, it was but it was a long old story, wasn't it? If you remember, and it went into I didn't even understand it half the time. It's basically a story in Coronation Street a few years back, where it was basically this guy who was pretending to be somebody else, and then he had to but he wasn't like Grey type of serial killer. Like, he kind of just sort of kept falling into these situations where he ended up killing someone to kind of keep his secrets, but he was never really intending to be that way as the story went along. But it went into all sorts of weird, convoluted directions from what I remember. But yeah, people are comparing it to that, which I just don't. I don't see it myself, and I hope that it doesn't, because I don't want Reiss to have a shelf life. Because as well, he is a different sort of character that we've not had on the show, like, ever. Like, maybe in some ways he maybe reminds me of Bradley a little bit, only in the sense that he's sort of got that geeky vibe about him, which is nice. Again, like, not sort of something we see all that often.
Yeah, but Bradley weren't as bumbly as him, were he?
No,
he was just a bit innocent, Bradley.
Yeah, it's even more different to what we've seen before. So I don't know. But talking of Reiss and his comedy, I mean, I loved this whole thing with the IVF appointment. It was one of the times where the show occasionally sticks its toe over the line, and I love it when it does that, because it got very cheeky this week. The comedy doctor loved her. I thought she was hilarious. When was the last time you ejaculated? I was not ready for that line at 7 o'clock in the morning when I watched it after finishing work. I wasn't ready for that at all.
I wouldn't either.
Loved it. And then, even better, was when Reiss kind of had to go into the little room to give a sample and couldn't do it because he was kind of like, this feels wrong. The Sonia went in and offered him a hand.
I know, that were very cheeky. I thought, why? I mean, I don't understand his point. It would be a bit difficult. It's a bit of pressure in there, right? Going into a room and being expected to just give a sample like that.
Yeah, it's not exactly a sexy environment, is it? It's
what were those magazines as well? Are we supposed to think that they were rude magazines? Were they rude?
I think they might have been rude. I would look. Yeah, my eyes weirdly went straight to the magazine, so I was kind of like, that's hardly going to be like a copy of Inside Soap on the side, is it? That's
it just looked like Hello to me.
Like a copy of Cosmopolitan or something. That's not going to be. It's going to be that. But then that doesn't exactly help anybody. If I went in and wanted IVF, that's not going to help me, is it? I'm not going to. Yes. But anyway, so Sonia decides to give him a hand. But the amusing thing with that is that the episode synopsis for that episode actually that made it into the episode synopsis. It was something like, Sonia gives Reiss a helping hand or something like that, and you kind of don't suspect where that is going when it describes it in the episode synopsis.
Oh yeah, no, you don't. You would not have thought that at all.
Oh, very funny. I liked all that. Then later on, there's a little brief scene where we're reminded of what Reiss is actually doing with the money, because he takes 15,000 out of Debbie's account to pay for the IVF treatment. So that's obviously not been forgotten about. So we'll return to that briefly. I don't know where that's going. I'm kind of in because it depends where they're going with Debbie, because I still got the sense when they first introduced Debbie that Debbie wasn't going to wake up. Did you? I don't know.
I don't know. I were confused by that. I actually thought they're going to wake her up when we got introduced to her, because I thought, why go to lengths to show us her properly and cast her and all of that if you're not going to wake her up? I don't know. But then I can see why you would show her without her waking up.
It's an easy acting job otherwise, isn't it? Just lie there with your eyes shut, raking TV money. Thank you very much. I could do that quite happily. There's a moment with Karen this week that confused me a little bit. She makes insensitive comments about Reiss because she kind of gets the sense about what's going on. So she starts taking the mick out of Sonia, saying that her eggs are powdered up. And then Reiss kind of like, well, it isn't Sonia, it's me. And then she says something really weird about saying that he's the half-blood prince. I didn't get that line.
No, I didn't get that either. Obviously, the only reference we would know is Harry Potter.
Harry Potter,
right?
yeah. So can someone in the comment section explain that line to us? Because they pass both of us by.
And I think it's important to note that both me and Rob are massive Harry Potter fans, and we still don't understand what it means. Or if it's in reference to that half-blood prince. Is it another half-blood prince?
I don't know, because I look online, it was something about like having, I don't know what it is.
No, that was just half-blood, not even a prince. That's
so that's nothing to do,
if you're half-blood related to somebody.
Yeah, so that's nothing to do with Reiss firing blanks, is it? I don't know.
No,
I don't know, that confused me. But talking of Karen, obviously we know Karen is, no spoiler alert, but I'm sure you know that if you're listening to us, but Karen's on her way out soon. And did you get the sort of impression that, I mean, I didn't, because Karen wasn't likable this week. You know, she was sort of just being quite harsh and you know, and just not being particularly nice, wasn't particularly bothered about the fact that she'd upset Reiss. So do you kind of get the impression that they're sort of just writing her as, you know, not really bothering to give her that much likability because they know that she's leaving soon? It's
like they were deliberately making her unlikable this week so that we won't be as bothered when she leaves or something.
Yeah,
because I mean, it was a little bit out of character for it to be that harsh.
I don't know if it was necessarily out of character. Like, if out of anybody in the square that would make that sort of comment, you can sort of see it being Karen. But having said that, I don't think that Karen would necessarily kind of keep on at it once she'd realised that she'd upset somebody. And yet and then she was behind the bar kind of saying, oh, I've been silenced, I've been cancelled and all that kind of stuff, giving Reiss a nice line, well, how come I can still hear you then? Which I quite enjoyed. And then Reiss kind of goes off and has a moment with Sonia where he's sort of really feeling down about himself and sort of like, why would you want to have a baby with me? I can't even give you this under normal circumstances. So again, it's another element to Reiss's character where he's kind of really kind of feeling down about himself, which kind of makes me kind of think, why is anybody thinking that there's a real darkness to him? I don't get it.
It's the money thing, though, to be fair, because when we saw him do that transfer, I did think, you're actually committing fraud now.
Yeah.
And it's a bit rich considering how you were about Keanu trying to do very similar.
But this is the thing about it, because we know how much he was freaking out about like anybody asking him to sort of fiddle the books and anything. You can sort of imagine how much of a mental head mess this is for him to be doing this on his own. Like, I can imagine that this is absolutely tearing him up inside, having to make this happen, surely.
Yeah, we're just not seeing that though, are we? But maybe we're not seeing it because he's trying not to overthink it himself, and he's just I've just got to do it. I've just got to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm never going to have a kid.
Doing this for the greater good.
Circumstance I'm in.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's not the end of it though.
No, not by any stretch. So obviously the IVF seems to be sort of playing out, and it looks like this might be, I don't know whether this is going to be a case of they're going to keep doing this until Sonia finds out the truth and then it's going to stop, or whether it's going to be too late for Sonia to find after she's found out whether she's going to get pregnant or what happens. I don't know.
Have you seen some theories that some people have said online that maybe his wife had some eggs frozen beforehand and somehow he's going to get them
What? No.
Yeah, that maybe Debbie had some eggs frozen beforehand, and then somehow he's going to trick Sonia into having those eggs implanted instead, and then she'll actually be carrying Debbie and Reiss's kid. Oh, have you not seen that?
No, that's mad.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
I don't know how you do that.
No, I don't even know.
Unless they do discover that Sonia's eggs aren't, fertile, and then he goes, oh, well, actually, now I'm thinking about it. But I've seen that thrown out there.
That would be odd. That would be very, very odd. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let us know in the comment section what your views are on everything that's going on with Reiss, Sonia, this storyline. Thought about Karen as well. Do you think that they're going to try and start making her a little bit more likable before her exit, or is this literally just the Karen we're going to get? Stick them in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, so next up we are talking about Stacey, Theo, and Lily. And I think what we'll do is, because obviously the Lily stuff sort of branched out on its own a little bit halfway through the week when she gave birth to Charli. So we'll talk about that after we've discussed the Stacey and Theo stuff. All is out. Everybody knows what Theo is and who he is because he decides to come around to Stacey when he gets a job at Walford High as a kind of permanent teacher. I mean, he's really putting himself, this is dangerous now if you really think about like what he actually is, who he is, and where he's now put himself. Like he's giving himself access to Lily, like really, really easily. He basically reveals himself to Stacey this week, so to speak, as in like who he is, not like, you know, flashing.
Yeah.
He does.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, I wouldn't put it past him. Because Martin has gone to Essex with Eve to talk to that receptionist we met like weeks ago, who first kind of gave the impression that something was off about Theo, and she reveals that Theo's kind of ex, that she was basically like he's basically had some sort of relationship with her best friend, and then it all went wrong from there, and he just became utterly obsessed with her. And effectively drove her to suicide, which was a turn I wasn't expecting it to take. Like, wow.
Yeah, I know when she first said, "Oh, sorry, she's dead," I was like, "What? He killed her?" And then when they said suicide, I was like, "Oh, wow."
Well, I thought it was going to go into the direction of like she was basically hiding the fact that it was her, that she had been the one that was in the relationship. But then she kind of came out with that, and I was like, "Oh dear, wow." And those scenes were kind of playing really well with what was going on with Stacey and Theo at the time, because Stacey is sort of, as she has been throughout this entire thing, just utterly oblivious, and was quite happily sort of having a nice evening in with Theo, celebrating the fact that he's got this job and talking to him about like, how come you are single? Come on, you're a seven and a half at least. I mean, if I was called a 7 and a 7.5, I think I'd stop stalking that person. Like, rude, absolutely rude.
Yeah, innit? Yeah.
7.5. And so once they found this out, Martin is kind of desperately trying to get hold of Stacey. He's like, and I text Stacey and says, so Theo's your stalker, so do you want to be careful if you see him? Like, maybe don't talk to Theo ever again. Theo sees this message because Stacey's out the room, and because Lily's in labour at the time, but we'll come back to that. And kind of, I think he basically works out, well, I've got my back against the wall now. I need to basically just reveal who I am and try and work it out from there. So he reveals to Stacey. And still, even though he's basically turned around to her and saying, yeah, I'm your stalker. I'm Edmund. I'm the bloke that you were talking to online for ages. And Stacey's like, you? Don't be ridiculous. No, can't be you. The sound of the penny dropping could be heard from space when she eventually works it out.
Lacey Turner were amazing in that scene. Like her facial expressions and how she were like laughing, and then all of a sudden, like you said, the penny dropped, and she were like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah, I know.
And then it's just all going round in her head, like piecing it all together. Horrible as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lacey Turner gives Oscar-winning performances just by ordering a G&T in the Vic. You know, she's incredible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But it was just the length of time it took between her actually working out what he was saying before, you know, she was like, nah, can't be you. No. It's like, come on, Stacey, for God's sake. But she does eventually kind of twig as to what he's saying, and is then terrified because she realizes that in front of her is the bloke that not only sent her all those messages, but sent her underwear, broke into her house and tore up all her clothes, threatened her, made her feel that she was being watched left, right, and center. Like, this bloke absolutely sort of wrecked her life, and you can sort of see like how he might have done the similar thing to this other poor woman that he was getting involved with. Dangerous.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's all a bit it's a bit icky, isn't it, this entire scenario at minute.
Where are we at with the Joel Goldberg comparisons at this point, Ray?
It's still very one of my friends actually messaged me saying, what's with this pound shop Joe Goldberg? And I was like, do you know what? Actually, yeah I see that. He's still very Joe Goldberg.
He's not put her in a cage yet.
Well, I was just going to say, I think at this point, this is when Joe would be putting her in a cage, because now the secret's out. It'd be cage time. So
See, the thing is, at the start of the week, we were sort of thinking, right, well, because before this week, we're sort of like, well, Theo's definitely a suspect for the Christmas Day death. Surely, like he could be on the floor Christmas Day quite easily. And then, you know, Monday comes around, and you know, the secret's out. Stacey works out who he is, and she's basically gets him out of the house. And you're sort of thinking, right, well, how can he still be around at Christmas? How can he possibly like kind of survive past here and be dragged out till Christmas? The way that you do that is to turn to Walford police, because if you need something not to be investigated, you turn to Walford police. Because
I thought it were too. Do you know? I thought it were too good to be true, because when Stacey first went, they were very empathetic and very nodding along, and I thought, oh, right, I'm surprised they're actually taking her seriously and they're going to do
police
something
doing their
about
job.
it.
Surely not.
What's going on here? And then, of course, they pull him in, and then we realise, no, that was too good to be true.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, okay, so let's talk about that side of things. I mean, where are we at, reckon, with the realism of that? Do you think it would be that simple for Theo to sort of cover his tracks like that, and for the police to be like, sorry, nothing we can do?
Yeah, actually, I do. Unfortunately, it's the sad world that we live in. Yeah, I can imagine him saying it is literally your word against his. I mean, perhaps if Stacey kept some of the evidence, she chucked a lot of it away, didn't she? Did she ever ring the police when
she never did? No, this is the
someone
first
broke
time.
into a bedroom?
No,
Right.
This is the first time that she's been to the police about it. And, you know, all she did last time was change the locks. And obviously Theo managed to get himself a key. And again, this was the other thing that kind of took Stacey so long to work out, is the fact that there's a scene earlier in the week where she's come downstairs and talking to Lily, and she realises that someone's in the kitchen, and she's kind of walking up to this really tense sequence where she's kind of walking up to the kitchen really scared, and then just walks in and Theo's just sort of preparing dinner, pouring her wine and all that kind of thing. And she's like, oh, it's you. Oh, that's all right. How did you get in? Oh, the door was on the latch. Fine. No issues about the fact he clearly just walked into their house. Like, she doesn't kick off about that. Oh, honestly, Stacey, love. I mean, obviously, the thing here is the fact that we're supposed to believe that Theo has just worked his magic on her, and so to the point that she absolutely trusts him. And maybe that just wasn't made clear enough at times, because there have been times when you sort of you're watching and you're sort of like, oh, come on, Stacey, for Christ's sake, you're not this stupid, surely. It's
But she's got so much trust in him that she just couldn't even a suspect in her mind, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, she has been quite naive, hasn't she, throughout
Quite
this?
naive, but never mind. So obviously everything's out now. So she talks to the police can do nothing about it. And so Theo is able to just kind of walk around freely. He's still hanging around the house, still watching things. And then at the end of the week, he makes his next move, where he is ringing the estate agents and saying, oh, can I get the flat that's next door to Stacey, please? I'm going to move in there. Whatever he's got planned here, he's going to have difficulty with, because Freddie and Harvey both want to rip his head off. Phil's on standby with his baseball bat. Jack's 2 doors down, and all the Slaters know who he is. So
yeah, but that could work in his favour if people do go for him. Then he can play the victim, can't he? And go, oh, these people are attacking me because of Stacey's lies. It might all work in his favour.
But would the police not kind of turn around and say, well, why have you moved here then, if that's the situation? Like, how is he going to get around that?
Because
he's just got a job
he's just got a job at Walford High, so why would he not go and move on the square?
Come on, London's a big place. You know, why would he have to live there? You know, it's easily.
I'm not being funny, but Met Police aren't going to be like, oh well, you shouldn't. Come on.
I mean, this is the thing. You could easily check out the fact that, right, so that you moved into this house after we spoke to you about this. Like, that's surely kind of suspect.
But he's not breaking the law, is there? There's literally nothing they can do, because I think what they would say to Stacey is she basically, and I'm not victim blaming here whatsoever, I'm saying what the police would be saying, which is appalling, but this is how they'd handle it. They'd have said, you should have come to us when the stalking first started happening, and then they would have told her to keep a log. And then maybe, because everyone just likes written down proof for everything, don't they? Then maybe they could have had a bit more evidence against him. But right now, it's literally her word against his. He's doing nothing wrong by moving in.
But like, not even Jack can do anything about this. And like, Jack kind of hints at him last week, like, look, listen, we can both play the system here. I mean, 2 coppers live on that square, and like, so, and it's still not going to have any impact on him kind of being caught for any of this. It's mad. I wonder where this is going to leave the situation with baby Charlie, though, because you kind of got hints a little bit this week from Jack that he's sort of like, well, look, listen, as long as my grandkid's safe, then, you know, all good. I'll kind of stay. But I feel like Jack is now going to step in and say, no, Charlie needs to live with us. And that's then going to cause issues between the Slaters and the Brannings, because Jack's logic will be, well, I'm a copper, so at least if the baby lives with me, he'll be more safe than he is with a psycho trying to break into your house constantly after Stacey, you know? I think that's going to cause issues.
I didn't think about that, actually. All I'm thinking is Stacey needs to get some CCTV cameras all around her property right now, whether somebody can fund that for her. Yeah, maybe that is what Jack will do. I won't be surprised.
I think he will, because I think that's the sort of thing that Jack would quite happily do. Because Jack's kind of quite, not possessive over his family, but he's kind of got that sort of macho-ness about him and goes, no, the baby's much safer with me because I'm a man and I'm a copper. And so, yeah. And it's my grandchild, so I've got as much right to say where, you know, that's the sort of the Jack ways. It's kind of go in with like bull in a china shop and sort of take charge. I think that's what's going to happen, I suspect. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, Theo is apparently moving in next door to the Slaters. So a long way to go with this, which kind of theoretically means that this could still play out until Christmas and leave Theo on the floor Christmas Day and make Stacey a killer. Well,
now I think it is Theo, but then it just constantly changes who it could be. Oh, God. Well, it could be Theo, definitely.
On top of that.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, we also finally got another 6 trailer this week. Stacey's trailer has been revealed, and so we've now got Denise's and Stacey's trailer, months apart, but you haven't forgotten doing these trailers. So maybe they're going to sort of drop the other 6 trailers in like across the coming months leading up to Christmas. And interestingly, the trailers are linked, because there's a shot of glass breaking at the end of Denise's trailer, which then leads into Stacey's trailer. So clearly there's a sort of story being told through the trailer. So you kind of wonder if when the last trailer is revealed, is that going to reveal something new? Maybe like the 7th, if there is going to be one, or maybe some other elements of the story we are yet to discover.
This is just amazing, isn't it?
Honestly. I mean, the fact that the girls went, but bringing up the NTAs again, the fact that the girls all went dressed in this, well, not in their 6 outfits, but in their colours to the NTAs was amazing. But as well as that, the cufflinks were doing the tour at the NTAs as well. Like, some of the blokes were like taking pictures of the cufflinks, like looking all mysterious. I think it was just genius bit of marketing from EastEnders at that point, just to sort of put it all as public as they could possibly make it. Oh, and by the way, obviously, seeing as we've won all these awards, do you want to look at this massive storyline we're doing at the same time as well? Oh. Genius.
Brilliant, genius.
So yes, go on.
Sorry, one little thing. You might call it a mad theory. It's not really a theory.
I would never dare to call any of your theories mad, Rig. Wouldn't dare.
Not anymore. Thank you.
I get told off for doing that. Yeah, everyone's sticking up for you, saying all your theories are mad. I wouldn't dare dispute anything you ever say ever again. Go on. What have you got for me?
Well, it's not a theory, but I did notice that I think it was Lily, and it was definitely Stacey and Kat were wearing red on Thursday's episode. And
okay, yeah.
Is that a hint at something? Anyway,
there's an interesting thing.
Just noticed it.
No, not at all. Because if you look, we obviously did a little interview with Macy Spackman from the Metro, who has, if you want to go follow Macy Spackman on Twitter, she has got the most conclusive kind of gathering of all the clues for the 6 story. She's done an article that she kind of keeps adding to at the Metro, so give her a follow. And when I was talking to her, she said that Stacey very often wears red when she's sharing scenes with Theo. So that is the sort of clue that they'd throw in. And Stacey's colour is obviously red. So, yeah, that's interesting. So maybe. But I think this is definitely leading us to think that Theo is definitely, officially, I think, if they release a trailer of Stacey after this week, it kind of officially puts Theo as a suspect for the floor. Maybe I think the Denise thing officially put Ravi as a suspect for the floor. And now we're going to kind of get weeks where the rest of the time up to the Christmas Day mystery sort of reveals which man is connected to which woman. Yeah. And I have a feeling, I suspect what Kathy's week is going to be, which would be the fire week that's upcoming.
Yeah.
And that would presumably maybe put Rocky in the frame for that, because something we didn't mention is the fact that Rocky is clearly kind of quite stressed with what's going on with everything with being homeless and the fact that Ian's taking the businesses off them. So it kind of really cements the idea for me that Rocky is going to set fire to the cafe when that happens. And then Kathy's going to work that out, and that's going to be Rocky's kind of way to be on the floor if that's what happens, and Kathy's man. Yes, we shall see. Right, so that was the Theo stuff. We should now move on to talking about Lily and the arrival of baby Charlie. So, final discussion of the week, and the patter of baby's feet has finally arrived in the Slater house. Little baby Charlie is here, and she's a cute little baby, isn't she? Cute little baby.
So cute.
She's named after Charli XCX. It will not surprise anybody who has ever listened to a single podcast that we have ever done that I have no idea who this is. Do you? Do you have a clue who she is? I don't know.
Well, I did. I knew
Yes.
that she was a singer, but I didn't realise that I actually knew her songs until we were discussing this before we started recording. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do know who she is, actually. So, yeah, there you go.
I'm so rubbish with music and all that kind of thing. I didn't have a clue. But she responded on because somebody tagged her in the idea of the fact that this kid had been named after her, and she was kind of like, "Hey, that's exciting." So yeah, she likes it. So yeah, it was all lovely. But it's still nice for the kid to be named Charlie. Like, even though the reasoning is out, it still kind of feels like it's sort of named after Charlie. You know, that's nice. That's nice. But yes, so whilst all this madness is going on with Stacey and Theo, and Stacey's kind of fighting off who she realises is her stalker, Lily chooses that exact moment to go into labour.
Yes, of course.
So, I mean, just to kind of wring as much drama out of the situation as they possibly can. Lilia Turner, absolutely incredible this week, I thought. Like, that kid is amazing.
She were outstanding. Like, I actually can't believe how well she did at performing those scenes. She were really next level with that.
Yeah,
for her age as well. That's something else.
Yeah, amazing. Like, I would imagine that labour scenes are not easy to do for any actress. And she absolutely knocked it out of the park. I thought she was fantastic. Like, amazing performance. Like, she fits into that Slater clan so well, doesn't she? Like, she can go head to toe with any of them. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So when the baby gets taken to the hospital, you get the sense quite quickly that Lily is struggling.
It does seem like that, doesn't it? It's weird because when they say when you have a baby, you know, you might not bond straight away. And something that I think that they've hinted at with Lily is that she's potentially had quite a traumatic birth experience. Now, with traumatic birth experiences, I mean, I don't know, most birth experiences can't be traumatic in some way, to be honest, but it links to postnatal depression. So you are a lot more likely to experience postnatal depression if you've had a traumatic birth experience, which even I think Martin and Gina have mentioned that to Lily.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like she's bonding too well with Charlie at the minute, does she?
No, I mean, I got the sense that it was more the fact that she was 13 and terrified, you know, rather than it being, I mean, I could be wrong, but I got the sense that it was just a case of this little girl, essentially, like, for the first time, really, like, the fact that I think it all kind of landed for her this week, you know, once she's gone through that traumatic birth, which, again, for any kid, you know, who birth apparently, I'd say apparently, like, birth is, like, giving birth to a kid, you know, it hurts and it's traumatic and it's difficult, you know, no matter how rewarding it might be once the baby's placed into your hands, you know, they say that all of that completely disappears once you've got the baby in your hands. But for a 13-year-old girl to go through that is a lot. And I think it really hit home for Lily this week. Oh my God, I'm a mother and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, can I say that even if you're 32 and have a baby, you
Yeah.
still have that realization
I
when
bet.
they get here.
I bet.
So let alone being 13 and in that position. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know what you're saying. I definitely think there's that. There's also I'm saying the postnatal depression thing, it'd be too early to know that anyway, because once you've given birth, you go, sorry, I'm a bit digressing, but it's kind of relevant.
No, go for it.
Once you've given birth, it can take your hormones a few weeks to readjust. So you get something called the baby blues. If anyone's had a baby, you'll have heard of this.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's your hormones readjusting. You're very emotional. You might be sad, like I think Lily's showing signs of. I don't know though. It's like you say, is it just that it's all dawned on her and she's going, oh, I don't have a clue what to do? Or are they heading down a postnatal depression storyline, which is what I'm expecting?
Okay.
They've also got the mental health history with Gina and Stacey that runs in the family. So it wouldn't be that unusual for Lily to be going down this route.
Yeah, I mean, we've had obviously Stacey went through the postpartum psychosis storyline when she last gave birth. That was
Yeah.
one of Stacey's most incredible stories. Like that was that
Mhm.
that wasn't it. That didn't even that I remember that story didn't even feel like a soap opera. That felt like a TV drama. It was phenomenal.
Mm.
And Lacey Turner was outstanding during that story. Yeah, I mean they've kind of referred to, like, Lily's been sort of self-aware about the mental health history of her own family a little bit over the
Mhm.
past couple of years, hasn't she, since this Lily came into play.
Yeah.
Which has been a fascinating aspect to it. I've always kind of thought that, especially when Jean was having her episode and Lily was sort of taking some of her medication. I loved all that.
Mm.
So I wonder, you might have a point. It could be, but I kind of suspect that it's more along the lines of, like, she just doesn't know what she's going to do, and she's going to have real difficulty connecting to the baby, whether it's through postnatal depression or whether it's just through the fact that she's 13, terrified, and despite the fact that she's got, like, in a lot of ways she could not be in a better position as to having this kid with all of that support around her. She's got a huge amount of support around her, all the Slaters, all the Brannings, like, they all want to be able to have a hand in this to make it okay. Like, she's safe. She's not like she's sort of been abandoned and she's on her own with this.
Yeah,
But
but
that
that
doesn't
might
make a
add
difference.
to.
Yeah,
So
the
there's something
pressure.
else called mum guilt as well, and
Yeah,
that might actually, even though people will be supportive, it might actually make her feel more guilty about the fact that she's not able to do all these things and that she's relying on all these people.
mhm.
Also, talking about, like, getting that bond with your baby, that is a huge part of postnatal depression. Like, that
Yeah,
is one of the biggest things. So I personally think that's where they're headed. I did
interesting.
wonder about the psychosis as well, though,
Maybe.
and whether they're going to head that way. But yeah.
I wonder if she's a little bit young for that yet, because I feel like when
Yeah.
they were kind of throwing around the idea of Lily at some point, sort of maybe having bipolar as she gets older. I think it's a little bit too early in her life for her to be diagnosed with it. I might be wrong here, but I think I let a look online about that sort of thing, and I think it's a little bit
Oh,
early in
right.
Lily's life to be. Because I don't think you get diagnosed with bipolar until you're a little bit older. Because you remember, so when Stacey was diagnosed, she was about like kind of 18, 19 or something like that, I think. So I think it's a little bit old before
Ah.
you get given, or
It,
before something
why
like
though?
that can.
Is that medically, or is
Could
it
be.
because they don't, or is it because they just don't diagnose it until that age because you
I
don't
think
realise?
a bit of both, I think.
Ah,
Like I say,
right.
I might be wrong, and please correct me in the comment section. You will. But, it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but it's interesting. Ricky, meanwhile, seems quite happy
Yes.
with it. Like, Ricky's quite happy. Sick to have a baby,
Sick.
apparently. I did like that scene where Ricky first arrived into the ward, and they was just two teenagers together. All right, yeah, I suppose. Had a baby. Yeah, that's cool, sick. Yeah.
I do wonder, honestly, sometimes I wonder how they even made that baby, how they
I
are
d-
with each other.
they don't. Yeah, I mean, they're quite fond of each other. You get that.
Yeah.
You don't get the impression that they're necessarily boyfriend and girlfriend exactly, but they're sort
No.
of, they're quite fond of each other. And I feel like Ricky
Mm.
is doing his best within his own capabilities of sort of being there, and he's quite enjoying the novelty of, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's my daughter. This is well sick, isn't it? This is cool, like, and video calling her
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing. So that's nice. So she's
Yeah.
got that side of things, and obviously Ricky, I think, is the thing is Ricky is a boy at the end of the day, isn't he? He's got limitations, I think, as to how emotionally invested and involved he's going to be on the Lily side of things. He's got a lot to learn
Definitely.
as well. I mean, this is the danger of the kids being so young when this is happening, and there has been some criticism about this story in terms of whether they've really shown the realities of someone in Lily's position throughout the pregnancy. I mean, what do you think on that front? Do you think it's been covered well enough on that regard?
Do you know what? I had a friend at school who was pregnant. We were 15 and she was pregnant at school.
Mhm.
And I would actually say it's been quite, compared to my friend, it's been quite a
Yeah.
realistic portrayal, because I don't think it sinks in until you've had the baby anyway, which is kind of what they've shown. Lily's just been moseying along with a bump getting bigger and bigger. So I don't know what else they could have done
done.
realistically.
Yeah,
I think you're saying it from the age perspective, and they're saying that you'd have more health issues and
yeah.
things like that, but you might not though either. Like, everyone's different.
Yeah,
It's
I
quite
I mean,
realistic to not have them.
yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it for what it is. It's always a risk, I think, to do this sort of storyline with a kid that's so young, because this is basically the start of like, this is Lily now for the rest of her life. Like, this is Lily's now not going to have any of these sort of normal kid experiences that you have growing up. Which in itself is quite interesting because you sort of wonder how is Lily going to react to that, you know, as the realities of this kind of come home to her every single day, you know, and as each day goes by, you know, she's going to see her mates going out and doing kid stuff and she's sat at home, you know, trying to stop this baby from crying up to her ears in nappies and sort of and all that sort of thing. So it's interesting, even though she's got all this kind of family support around her. And I loved that scene where Jean was the first two scenes I loved with this scene. First of all was the scene where Stacey, Jean, Lily, and baby Charlie were all on the bed together, and you're just looking at this 4 generations of Slater women. It's beautiful. No other soap can do this sort of thing because no other soap embraces its own history like EastEnders does. It's amazing. I love that scene. Loved that scene. And again, that scene where Jean was sort of introducing the baby to everybody in the family and sort of like, welcome to Walford. I mean, take your bets now.
That one.
I always like to do this with a baby. If we see this kid growing up, what kind of kid do you think this is going to be? Are we going to have a super bitch? Are we going to have a slag with a heart? Are we going to have... Where do you reckon this kid's going to end up in about 15, 16, 20 years' time?
I think she's just going to be super gobby, if I'm honest with you.
It's a Slater woman. It's more than likely. More than likely.
That's it. Yep.
So, yeah, this is interesting. Go on.
However, Whitney came to visit Lily at the hospital, didn't she, Rob?
She did indeed, Free.
You could see Whitney. I was feeling it actually, watching the baby still laid there crying, and I'm like, someone pick that baby up. Like,
is that the instinct of the mother? Like, you hear a baby crying, you're triggered almost. Like, oh.
But Whitney was like that. I thought we saw that in Whitney. She was sat there like, and I think that's why she's like, I'm gonna have to get up and do something because obviously Lily's not feeling it. Stacey were preparing a bottle. Martin were just observing, and Whitney was very motherly with the baby, which she would be because it's a instinct in nature. But can we say the spoiler alert here right now?
No, yeah, we might as well. We've done it with everything else, yeah.
So obviously we know Whitney's leaving.
Yes.
There's been a few theories that is she going to leave with Lily's baby? And after seeing that scene,
it does.
Do we think that could be where it's headed?
I suspect this might be the start of Whitney's exit storyline, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think this might be where it's going because you get the impression with the whole Zach and Whitney thing that Zach, even though Zach's son have gone, yeah, all right, cool, we'll do that. We'll foster, we'll adopt, you know. You kind of get the impression that it won't take very much for Zach to change his mind on that front. And I can sense that Whitney might get more attached to this kid as Lily becomes more detached to the kid. So I think those two might work in tandem together, and Whitney may well go off into the sunset with baby Charli XCX. You know, it's a possibility. It is a possibility.
Which is why, sorry, I was just going to say, which is why I think it's definitely heading down the postpartum depression way.
Maybe,
as well.
Maybe. I mean, it's interesting, but what would you, I mean, what do you think in terms of like, would you like to see Lily kind of going through this whole chapter of like becoming a mother and kind of getting over the fact that she's 13 and getting over the possible postnatal depression and becoming a mother? Or do you think it is going to literally just be a case of we're going to stop that now, Whitney can have the baby and off Whitney goes, and that's going to be the end of that?
I kind of hope it isn't that it's Whitney takes the baby, because otherwise it feels like Lily getting pregnant is a bit of a pointless storyline. I know that might sound harsh and belittling it, but you know, did you really think it through making a teenager get pregnant again? Like it's happened, hasn't it? Many times on soaps.
I mean, we're referring to Coronation Street quite a lot this week, but I'm sort of reminded of Faye Windass. Faye Windass and Coronation Street. Like I think she was a similar age to Lily. I think it was around that age.
Possibly a bit older,
a little bit older, I think, but not that much older. And so she had a baby, and then very quickly, that baby went off with the dad, and it was kind of like, what was the point in any of that, you know? Because it's not like Faye ever referred to the kid ever again up until she's come back recently, I think. So I agree with you. It kind of would take away from what the story was supposed to be in that regard, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But alternatively, if we do go down that route and we see her overcome it, and then she starts bringing the baby up, okay, brilliant.
It does feel like
I just don't like. Yeah.
It does feel like Whitney might be involved in this a little bit heavily leading up to her exit somewhere along the line. I don't know. I mean, to be fair though, that opens up quite easy. That leaves the door wide open for Whitney as well, which is how it should be. Whitney should definitely not be killed off. So I feel like that might be a good way for Whitney to kind of come and go as if and when she does. I don't know. I'm not sure. Interesting.
Agreed.
A few other points from this week. Ricky has decided to change his name from Mitchell to Branning. That's quite a big point, I think. That's nice. Jack was very moved by that. Some really nice family scenes during this week, I thought. Like that scene where they were all kind of gathered around the bed, like ignoring all the, stalker drama. There was some real heart in this side of the story, I thought. It was really, really nicely written and kind of really kind of looked back. There was a lot of that overall this week, not only that, but earlier in the week with Ian and Martin, when we were looking at Bobby and discussing about Pauline and the comparisons, and Ian was like, it suddenly makes sense to me why they were interfering, because it was in our best interest. There was so much of that this week, which I loved. It was just, again, the show referring back to its own history and having the ability to do that, which is obviously the danger you have when you kind of killing kids off left, right, and centre, that you sort of lose that aspect that you can refer to. You can look at a character's kid and then sort of refer back to that character's own history. So there was some really nice moments of that this week, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. The only other thing was Sam got a mention this week. She sent a basket. God knows what was in this basket. Knowing Sam, it was probably vodka. But apparently couldn't make it. And it felt like this was the sort of week where Sam would return, because we know apparently it's been confirmed that apparently Sam is returning at some point soon. But you could have thought that this would be the week that she would come back. So when is she back?
It's a weird. I know, it's a weird one, isn't it? We know that she's coming back. I think it's towards the end of the year that she's coming back.
Apparently. 7th.
That's what I'm wondering. But I don't know. It all seems a bit odd with the Sam stuff, actually, because then we had, obviously, Ricky lived with her earlier this year, and now he's denouncing his Mitchell name, changing it because she's not here. So why would she be coming? I don't know. I don't understand what's going on with Sam and where that's headed.
I want her back soon because I miss Sam, because Sam was amazing when she was around. So there's a lot for her to be getting on with when she's back, with all this. So I want Sam back ASAP. Anything else to cover this week with this? I loved it. I thought the whole kind of Lily giving birth thing was really, really well done, really nicely written, some gorgeous family stuff.
Well, the only thing that I can think about is obviously they had the meeting with social services at the end of the week. Are they going to get wind about Theo, and then that's going to throw in something like you're saying with Jack, maybe?
Yeah, could Jack give them a call? I'd say I feel like Jack's going to be a bit of a thorn in this. I can sense that's very much in sort of Jack's personality to do that. I think we're thinking that he's doing it for the best, but I think that he will. Yeah, I suspect Jack's going to jack in about all over, so to speak. So we'll see. Gold star this week, Ree. Who's it going to?
It's got to be Lily.
I'm going to say Lily as well, I think. 2 for Lily. 2 gold stars for Lily. Definitely. Lydia Turner, fantastic performances. Well done, girl. Well done. As usual, we will finish our podcast this week with some comments from you lovely people.
So, starting with a comment on our Instagram page this week, Rob. This was left on one of the photos we uploaded of the 6 and the NTA awards.
Oh, yes.
Iconic. So, yes. Well, funny you should say that. Lana Bum has commented saying, iconic. I dreamt last night that all of the 6 were defending Sonia and that Reiss is there on the floor on Christmas Day. Literal madness, but now I can't get it out of my mind. What do you think of that?
Reiss being on the floor. I've not heard that one before. See, this is what I love about this sort of story. Some people might come out with a theory that sounds a bit out there, but this is what a story like this encourages, because it just sends people's minds into all sorts of places. I love it. Why not? The only thing with that is that Sonia's not one of the 6. So if Reiss, with Reiss getting away with like doing a little bit of dark stuff on the side, if Sonia was one of the 6, that'd be quite an obvious sort of way as to how Sonia could possibly be the killer. But I don't know, maybe, you never know. What was her name? Lana Bum. Quite like that.
Yes.
Iconic name in itself, Lana. I will say that. Who's next? Lee S. Durham on our Facebook says, I can see this nightmare called Theo becoming very intense based on the police reaction or lack thereof. Walford Police. Lee, what do you expect? It could have several threads, one of which I would find horrifying, involving a kidnapping of Lily and the baby to bargain for Stacey's love. Just one thought. I mean, the thing is with... No, that would terrify you, wouldn't it? It would horrify you.
Leave the baby alone. Leave the baby alone.
Leave baby Charli XCX alone. I mean, the thing is, though, you can sort of wonder where is this Theo storyline going? Like, how mad is he going to become? Because he is already pretty unstable, like moving next door.
I actually thought on Tuesday's episode when she just said get him out at house, I thought that were it, and I were actually a bit disappointed. I was like, oh, is that it? It's all out and we're done. But clearly
No.
not.
There was a moment where she looked at the knife on the floor and on the side, and I was kind of like, oh, is this going where I think it's going? And then it didn't.
Yeah.
But you never know.
And
Maybe
Theo
it's a hint.
told the
Maybe it's a hint.
police.
Maybe it's a hint about Theo
told
being
the
the body.
police that she threatened him with one, so that's
Yeah.
already on record. So
She'll have fingerprints on her knife, so yeah, it's
well, yeah.
Ooh, have to wait and see.
I've got another comment from our Instagram page. This is a little thread that people have started. So Tim Carney has said, Lily seems detached in the hospital scenes, to which KBH STL has replied, I wonder if they'll explore a postpartum depression storyline, followed by Anna M. Hon 13 saying, yes, I think the storyline will take on postnatal depression.
Oh, just
So it
chosen that,
looks
have you?
like-
To go along with your theories. Just chosen those comments, have you? I
Well,
see your game.
Come on, Rob. Come on. You've got to back up my theories sometimes.
No, I agree. No, I agree. I think the thing is, I think I'm maybe just kind of getting confused as to what postnatal depression actually is mentally. Like I'm looking at that and thinking, right, Lily is just too scared to know how to be a mother, but she wants to be good at it. Whereas maybe that is all sort of kind of within the umbrella term of what postnatal depression actually is. Yeah, so
pretty much.
In which case, then you're absolutely right.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think that's a genius theory, Ray. Well done. Yeah, that's very, very good. And finally, Kathy Verhan Kettner says, this is such a good time on EastEnders. I'm enjoying each story and character so much. By the time one episode ends, I look forward to the next. The stories are rich and move along at a good pace. It all really showcases the great actors we have at EastEnders. Quite right, Kathy. I agree. I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, this week, again, was just another week where you kind of like, yeah, best soap, of course it is. Best serial drama, award winning, of course it is. It's just the show feels unstoppable at the moment, doesn't it? And with the months coming up that we know what's coming, with the fire and the Six storyline kind of building up. It's just so exciting to be a fan of this show at the moment. I cannot wait. If you would like to get in touch with us using any of our social media outlets or by email, you can do the following. Curie.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Instagram and Twitter at E20 After Dark. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Albert Square After Dark, and find us on all your favourite podcast sites. You can drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Boom. Marvelous. That was good. Good. Another great week done and dusted. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. We will be back same time next week. I'm not sure what's kicking off next week. Maybe Alfie themed next week. There was a scene where he mentioned that his results are coming next week, wasn't there? There was a brief little thing with that.
On Monday,
Yes, so I suspect we might be dealing with Alfie next week and his diagnosis. So stay tuned for that. Until then, it is goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
See ya.
Bye.